Welcome, beautiful soul tribe. Welcome to my soul brother, Michael Muir. How are you, darling?
I'm pretty good. Thank you for inviting me on.
We had a little impromptu, like, yes, let's just go for it. Let's just do it.
Yes.
And so many themes arising at the moment. Oh, people are already jumping on. We love you because we only really put this up after 11 a.m. It's just after midday here in Queensland, Australia. But I know you'd be having the themes coming through with your clientele and the transmissions you do, Michael, and also with my tribe. And there's just that sense of claustrophobia at the moment, world calamities. We wanted to speak to the floods that are going on in southeast Queensland, more around the areas where you are on the Sunshine Coast, probably a little bit further south into northern New South Wales.
Yes.
And this theme of Atlantis, I'm going to say Atlantis Rising, and I called the chat Atlantis Rising because I feel it puts a spin on it in the direction that we want to go and that we're choosing to go, and that we certainly can go. But of course, we are carrying the codes of Fall of Atlantis. And this is why I love talking to you, because you understand everything so much at the codon energetic level. And it's really important that we speak to the mystics and the psychics like yourself, because there's a way that we can deep dive, and I specifically say those words not to be coy or funny. It is a deep dive into the watery depths of our emotional being. I mean, emotions are governed by water. Atlantis fell, we were drowned, we were flooded, the wave came over us. We're sensing at the moment the representation of that same energy. The solar wave this time is coming. It's not necessarily the watery depths that we'll go into. It's being burnt alive. That's the sense of the calamity that's coming for us. And so we have encoded in us this memory. And so everyone's at almost like a PTSD level of hypervigilance at the moment. What is happening? What's happening with these solar flares? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it helping rise through the ascension? Are we going around another 3D galactic cycle? Are the Dark Lords getting us? So I want to set this scene. I'll let you have a chat about what your experiences are with your clients and just what you feel. And then I want to set the scene from Lemuria through to Atlantis, which I'm sure you'll love to join me in setting that scene as well.
Wow. It's where to start, really. Of course, I'm a deep feeler, Blu-ray type person, energetically very sensitive, working with light language and also bringing energy through for group work clearings and personal one-on-one clearings. So I get the feeling at the moment there is a really deep agitation in the energy field, especially since the Ukraine-Russia stuff has kicked off. It has brought up the themes of war, whether internal or external, adding on to the floods, adding on to the pathogen story. So it's all here. And I feel like we are at the end of a cycle, and especially that, we're in that photon belt. We're in a very intense energetic upliftment. So it is, I feel like these physical 3D manifestations of what is happening at this moment are not very pretty to be dealing with at all. But in some ways, it is what is necessary for the collective to go through to bring up the triggers and the codons, the energies within our DNA from the times of Atlantis, Lemuria, and Orion and others, Maldek, so that we can, so that we can kind of neutralize this energy within ourselves, within our own matrix, and make a different choice for the collective this time. So it does feel that. And also, if we want to talk about dark energies, should we say, that there's a potential that they want to play with us in regards to activating those energies within us, and helping us to co-create a repeat patterning of potential Armageddon timelines. So we have to be mindful, I feel, and gather very, very powerfully in group at the moment to energetically whether it's online groups or whether it's face to face. Yes, you know, it's this sense of coming together and energetically shifting things, because we can come together energetically and shift the weather. You know, we can do that. You know what I mean? And we know we can do that by intention, by the powerful creators that we are, and holding spaces. So it's important, I feel right now, that of course the wounds of Atlantis and Lemuria have been triggered like the fuck, really, you know, out of us. And how do we stay stable? How do we come back into balance when we go off? And and that's fine if we do go off. I mean, I've had a really tough week this week of just feeling distracted and uncomfortable in my own skin. And so I feel like we just have to keep moving through the waves that are coming to the planet to release this deep trauma that we're holding.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you went even back further to the Orion Wars that we've all energetically been through, whether people see that as us as light beings going through that, or maybe the people listening have memories that they were really there. They felt like that they're even more in a form of matter. It doesn't actually matter at all how we have memory that comes up. It's more important to sit in the energetic side of it and allow it to be transmuted. And you brought up Moldak. Of course, that's a planet that is no longer. So this sense that we're in doomsday, there's an apocalypse, things are coming to end of times, yes, brings up a huge amount of fear, but paradoxically brings up a huge amount of excitement, because it means that we are shifting into a new paradigm. And so we must dismantle the old in order to make way for the new. And because everything is a reflection of us as the microcosm, we have the power within ourselves. Like you said, we can change the weather. We are that powerful. The human brain is a million times more powerful than any AI quantum computer, but we need it to come online, those DNA codons to come online again from that deactivated state, that spiritual amnesia that we've been running around with, possibly since, the days of Atlantis, since we've been in this new galactic cycle. Having said that, there's very awakened beings here who, because so many of us did ritual ceremonial work through those epochs of time, through Muir, perhaps we're more androgynous at that time. That's some of my memories that come through, and other people can talk about that. We were more one united collective consciousness. We moved through the Atlantis epoch where we came into more separation consciousness. Therefore, we thought that we could overpower each other. The emergence of the ego that actually became an egregore that created the dark energy that eventually came to devour us. We're still experiencing that now. So if we can take responsibility for it in the energetic way, I am not that dark lord that's in government that's gone rogue that wants to siphon off the life force of the humans. No, I am not. But I can energetically take responsibility for it in the unified field, and I can transmute that within myself, and I can change what's happening out there. And so many people that'll be tuning in right now, they've been the high priestesses, the priests. That doesn't mean that anyone's better if they were that in Atlantis. Many people were. Millions of people were, because that was the time where we were in the mystery schools and the temples, and we were learning about the healing arts, and we were learning about energy. And so we've got to now activate those energies again so that we can move through this time, because whilst it is end of days, I have to agree with that wholeheartedly. It's therefore the beginning of the new age. And it possibly can be, we talk about the two world split, the bifurcation that's going on at the moment. Possibly some people are going around another, to put it in human terms, another 3D galactic cycle. Cool. There's nothing wrong with that. That'll serve them just fine. Same as what it served us just fine. We weep and wail and gnash our teeth and pull our hair. Of course we do. But that's part of the Earth School or the solar system learning that we are moving through. We've come to observe it as a higher dimensional being, but we've also come to be in it. I love the analogy, Michael, that we're in the video game. We've got the remote control of the video game, but we created the video game. So, it's all happening for us. But what are
Definitely.
your memories of Atlantis? Because I happen to know, Michael, you must have been a hot priest there.
So I don't get so much physical recall of memory. I know that I was there. I know that I came back at this time as a priest, as a high priest, working with medical technology, working with sound like I do now, and and there's and as far as I can sense, there was 3 different Atlantean timelines, and working. Sometimes played a good role, sometimes played a dark role. I feel like that is also what we are trying to transmute here and neutralize those energies that come up around misuse of our own power. I mean, so many light workers in our community have fear of stepping into their roles, into their light, into their power, because of these atrocities that they committed or those around them committed, and the cellular memory of those. So I think that's a lot of what is coming to the surface right now as well, as people step in. And also, I just was triggered to say, while you were talking there, as around divine timing. I feel like, yes, there's a lot of Atlantean souls came back now to do this bit differently, so that we don't go into the Armageddon side of things, that we bring in the new technology if it's required, but it's brought in a way that is of the light this time. So so it sort of feels like, and I think it was the one of the last 2 groups I did anyway. This really beautiful masculine energy came in from Atlantis, and often when I'm working with Atlantean frequency, it's quite really strong energy. But this was quite soft, and it was quite gentle. It was the masculine in a very gentle form, and it was. It just felt that it's time for the reclaiming of the masculine. Whether you're in a male or female body doesn't really matter, but reclaiming of the good aspects of Atlantis. Because it wasn't all doom and gloom. Yes, it got corrupted at the end, and there was a takeover and the floods, blah, blah, blah. But I recently have been getting that we have to remember that it wasn't all shit. We have to remember that there was some good in the technologies, but it was turned. So we're at this choice point again, where we can use the technologies for good. That are wanting to be birthed in this Aquarian age at this moment. So we have, but it's sort of like there's a lot of, I feel, the Dark Lords, if you will, that are wanting us to stay in, just be terrified of technology, AI, which we have to be alert to, but also that it's whose hands is it in. That's what it's important at this moment. So it's, so I feel like this could be a time of beautiful advancement in technology that is supportive of humankind if we go down the right path. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
But in regards to the divine plan that I mentioned earlier, it's this sort of energy of, don't worry if you're not on right now, as in energetically, recalling or in your gifts or whatever you want to, or soul purpose, blah, 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 because everybody is seated in this time and activated and brought into their wisdom when it's right for the earth and this transition zone. So some people are just waking up, some people won't bother waking up, that's not their contract, and some people are further along. Nothing's better or worse, but it's just kind of, we're all the pieces of the puzzle. And I feel like lately, since I've moved up here and doing the work online and the etheric work, there's a lot of just, the work is really getting really strong in our conduits, anchoring the light down. And in the anchoring of the light down, we are the new earth grids. We are like the little lights all dotted all around the world globally, building this new grid. Yeah.
Aren't we just, the node points on the earth, the crystalline grid and the pillars of light. And if people could just claim their power and be that conduit, then it's game over for those dark masters. And I love that you spoke about the masculine energy, that true sacred masculinity, the departure from the toxic masculinity that has been running the world. I mean, you see the big the big phallic symbols everywhere, you know, the big tall buildings, aren't you? Like they want to take their claim with their big willies, but we don't need that anymore. Like we want the strength of that, but we need the receptivity of the yoni and the womb. The two go together. I saw a video the other day about the pyramids in Machu Picchu, and they have a womb kind of depression sitting on top, and I really saw how the peak pyramids of Egypt could actually connect like sacred geometry into the womb pyramids, and it goes together like the lock and the key. And this is what we're getting into. You know, it's beautiful. It's almost like merging the feminine matriarchal societies of Lemuria with what became very toxic masculinity. You know, eventually in Atlantis, because of course, as you said, there were beautiful times through Atlantis.
Yes.
But it's interesting also with that toxic masculinity. And it's said that Belial, one of those really dark creatures, devil creatures, came in from Mars at the time of the fall of Atlantis, was summoned in by the collective ego, the egregore, created a portal through to Mars. And Mars had become a very masculine warring. I mean, we know the energy of Mars is warring.
Yes.
And so that's why they blew their planet up and needed access into what we called Atlantis Earth because they needed to sort of get back into the life wave through the humans. And we see this splicing of genetics that's gone on, all this strange, mad scientism, you know, really dark stuff that's gone on since those days because they wanted to completely negate the feminine energy, these Mars or Martians, I guess, and that's not to say all Martians are negative, same as not all reptilians are negative. But we look at these threads, so we have an understanding of what went on. And so our collective ego summons this energy in from Mars, this really warring, toxic masculinity. And of course, what have we had through this whole galactic cycle? Well, wars, you know, men dominating. I love that you said the woman, you know, women have the inner male. Of course we do. We can be so toxic in our masculinity. We want to hustle and get out there and play the same game as the men. But why? How is that serving us? And so can we all come into harmony within ourselves? Can we all activate what needs to be activated within ourselves, whether that be the inner masculine or the inner feminine? And so through becoming whole and united within, we could speak about Eros, Gamos, and all of these things. I think it incorporates our sacred sexuality and all of these beautiful mystery school insights that we had back in those Lemurian and Atlantean times. And can we come online again, and can we move through this powerful gateway that's open for us right now? It's such an exciting time to be on Earth. Michael, do you want to talk about, you know, for the Australians listening, and I know we've got people from all over, but for the Australians listening, what's gone on with the flood at the energetic level, and maybe that feeling of we're drowning, what's going on?
Wow. It's hard to know what to say to this one, hey? It's hard to know what to say to someone because it feels multi-layered at different dimensions, yeah? So obviously there is a dismantling of structure energetically. I feel, you know, water is purifying. I'll go through a few different things. Water is purifying. There is you know, there's a lot of theories around why it's here right now. Whether it's useful to go into those, I'm not sure. We can if you want, but okay. Yeah. So I mean, there's talk of weather technology. There's talk of clearing of energies underneath the earth, and of course, all of these can be at a multidimensional level, as well as the 3D level. So the earth needs to be cleansed. Yeah, the earth needs to be cleansed. This is not. We have. I know that there's some people in the northern rivers are really going through a really hard time. Some lost their homes, businesses, and all. It's. I come back to karmic implications over the time, and us not really valuing the earth, or not us. Humanity as a whole, and so there are cycles. I'm finding it difficult to sort of know if I should really go into the dark side of stuff too much. But
I mean, I'd love you to. We'll just wrap a bubble of light around our chat, and this
so
is important.
I feel that there could be, like, I am sitting on the fence in regards to whether it has been done on purpose, to that area, to clear the land and to make space for smart cities, etc. And also a very anti-establishment area in general. So there's all that potential there, but I feel like we have to also just be a little bit again, it's a bit like the Atlantean Armageddon story. We can focus on the fact that the floods are coming, or we can also try and stay centered and grounded in creating the new way forward. So I'm not saying it's not hard. Of course, it's really difficult for people that are going through it. I'm not taking that away from their process, but it's. I feel like there's more to come. Yeah, there's more to come, and whether it's harp inspired or whether it's a combination of the just the new cycle we're in, there's big changes ahead.
Yes, thank you, Matthew. We spoke about solar flares right at the beginning of this chat. Frequencies from Jupiter is absolutely beautiful because, as Michael's saying, it's very multi-layered. So it depends what lens we want to see it through. So we can definitely say, yes, the HARP technology and the fact that, as you said, it's an anti-establishment area. It's the lowest, from what I heard, it's the lowest rate of the V through that area. We're talking about the hippies here in Australia for anyone living overseas that's listening to us. We're talking about rich hippie culture. They will put their finger up at the establishment. So they've been hit hard, and there is that wanting to draw them. Even the political leaders have come out and said not to build again. So there's definitely, they seem to be wanting to steer them into the city so they can be digitized and monetized and in every other way controlled. But frequencies from Jupiter is such a beautiful insight as well, Matthew, because we must remember, and I believe that's what you're saying, Michael, that on higher dimensional levels, it's still happening for the highest good for everyone. The Jupiter frequencies coming in. I mean, if you look at Steiner's work, Jupiter is a sphere that we're moving into from Earth. It's through the ascension timeline that we move up into Venus and Jupiter spheres and so on. So it almost feels like we're at the lowest point of descension. I don't know how we could descend anymore when you hear about what's tunnels with the children. It's like, man, can we wake up already? Let's start through the ascension timeline now. And I know many people are. The Way show is already in 5D Earth. So everything's multi-layered, like you said, Michael, and it takes sometimes, a little bit of sitting back from the logical mind to absorb some of these conversations and back to the DNA and the codons and how we take it in on that cellular level. But yes, people have been looked after no matter what, even if the nefarious ones are up to no good. Even if, good, let's expose it. In order for the darkness to go away, we must keep exposing it. It's been my latest mantra this last week or so, because I think I'd been fighting, and I realised, maybe the energy of fighting is not required. Maybe it's just exposing. So just that little turn of phrase for me has been important, because if we find them on the 3D, well, hey, they've got more technology, more everything. So let's expose them and let's keep working in the multi-dimensional layers. But I want to echo what you said too before, Michael, about the technology. I feel that's a really important point because other star systems have very advanced technology. So we don't want to kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater, you know what I mean? Might be able to keep some of it because it serves us. But also too,
sure.
spiritual technology, because everyone's spiritual circuitry is really coming online.
Yes.
The telepathy, the teleportation, the telekinesis, the clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience. All of these things are coming online, and this is where you come in, Michael, because hey, I mean, from our last chat, I pretty much remember you were sort of born this way, weren't you? So do you want to talk about how powers, supernatural powers are coming online and what we've got to look forward to with the ascension timeline?
Wow, okay. Let me just read
the small questions there, darling.
Okay. So I guess what to say for that one. So I guess that yes, the energies are activating us. Yes, especially the light body and the pineal and the circuitry of our master selves. I feel our highest dimensional frequencies, angelic self, Elohim self, golden seraphim self. All that energy is coming in. Yeah, all that energy is coming in for us to. It's like our antennae, our little Wi-Fi is getting stronger and is able to go farther afield now. And as this goes farther afield, we're accessing more data, more light data. And this will be obviously decoded in different ways for different people, depending on their life path, soul contract. But I feel like in the last month or two, definitely a lot of reclaiming of soul light, reclaiming of bits that have been lost, fragmented off in different aspects all around the multiverse. And I feel like this is also part of a lot of intensity of emotion coming up. You know, people are tired. I mean, people are tired. We've been through the whole pathogen for 2 years now. The other scenarios are kicking in. And I just wanted to quickly say in regards to that stuff, you know, whatever they do backfires very quickly. You know, just look at the level of community that is coming together in those areas that are affected by the floods, how the love and the people are coming together to support them. So whatever they try and do, it doesn't work, because people just get stronger and more united. So I feel like, yes, there can be agenda 2030, if you will, but the consciousness through the ascension of the frequencies that are coming in is disrupting that. And every time they try and do something, it doesn't work. And this is part of the disclosing you so articulately said. You know, this disclosing comes because people are now questioning things. People are now turning off the TV and looking at other sources of information. So we're on the way. I think it's not happening as quick as most of us would like, but we're on the way to the dismantling. And I think that dismantling is what's allowing the activation of these gifts, because the matrix isn't holding us so tightly, so we can access more galactic light. And it's and as you were talking there just before, I was just feeling, wow, it's like the teams are there. And some of the technology, when we talk about when I talked about, or maybe there's some good use to some technology, I feel like it's the technology that's going to come through the star seeds and the awakened ones, you know, the light workers. It's like the technology is here, and we are going to create so much more fantastic stuff, whether it be through the etheric or whether it be through new 3D technology birthed through this higher wisdom that's coming in, you know. So I feel like that's the exciting piece here, because people are really clearing up the garbage around them up here, so that they can actually really get clear. And I think that's what this time of solitary confinement, if you will, has been about. It's about been really advancing us. I do feel like by April, things are going to be a bit more dynamic, as in people moving around and stuff, regardless of jibby jabby.
Yeah, that's what had come in for me last year too. And yeah, I think you and I get a lot of similar downloads, as I know many people listening or who I interact with on social media. We seem to get the same intel at the same time. We may have a different language for it. So it's definitely, we're plugging into higher streams of consciousness. And ultimately, we're just one stream of consciousness, even including those nefarious dark lords. And that's why, again, if we can take responsibility for it, we can transmute it. This is where our ultimate power comes from, not creating us versus them. But in the 3D, you got to step it up to them. You've got to say no. You've got to break the contracts, because we are contracted to them, the archons, or wherever we see it from times past, where we allow them to siphon our energy. And so we must get very fierce and almost very ferocious. You see a lot of memes going around with lions in them. You got to take on that energy and say, absolutely no more. You will step out of my orbit now. This is done.
Beautiful. Yes.
I command. I am the sovereign. In all of these key codes, these terms floating around because they awaken that DNA within us. We've had enough. I've only got to remember what's going on with the children. I tell you, I won't stop, because the child is me. It's my own inner child, as well as the collective children out there, or the children of Gaia, or however we want to term it. When you see innocence being abused, you will step up, and so we're seeing en masse this awakening. And I love what you said. It's no matter what these dark ones want to throw at us, it's like nothing wins, and they are scrambling right now. That's my take on it. I had a download the other day that and it came from the Andromedan High Council. I mean, we're talking really high dimensional stuff, because, as you say, the veils between the worlds are very thin right now. So we're all getting a lot of energy coming through. It's very clear. We're all galactivated, if we hadn't already. And they were saying, kick back and laugh, because whilst it may seem that the dark ones want to put you into their own Hunger Games, you are actually the spectator to their Hunger Games, because they're infighting. They're trying to pull each other down. We saw the rapid jump in narrative from the sea base over to the Ukraine-Russia situation. And that would have been one faction in the cabal that was saying, keep the sea bug going, and the other faction going, cue the fake weather, over to the war. The wars have always worked before. What can we do? How can we get our loosh? We need a feed. We need a feed. And so, but for us, awake and aware, it creates the glitch in the matrix. It's like, okay, there's a gap now. So let's go hard. Let's go hard with the light work. Let's get out into the astral planes. Let's dismantle some of their systems. And this is the work that you do. So if people didn't catch the last show that I did with Michael, have a chat, Michael, about the work that you do and how it works at the energetic level, and the groups that come together with you. It's powerful.
Okay. So just quickly, background in somatic psychotherapy, body orientated therapy. When I was doing that training, strange sounds started coming through. Didn't know what it was. It was about 2004. Didn't really work with it. Wasn't grounded enough. Didn't really know what it was. Didn't want to be seen as a nutbag. So left it alone till about 2012, when by then Facebook was around. Groups of spiritual people started to gather, found people that were working with light language, found a name for it, started working with it in Sydney in private sessions and in groups. And then recently moved up to the Sunshine Coast from Sydney 1 year ago. And basically the groups have morphed over the time. Initially I was working, it was very much light body work. It still is that for me. So I bring through sound from different dimensions through light language, and it is it doesn't make sense to the cognitive ear, the sound, and that's good, because then we put our mind to the side, our 3D mind to the side, and we just absorb the energy that comes through. And it's really about activating the DNA, cell activation, and light body activation. So bringing in different aspects of our multidimensional self, a lot of clearing work, and so initially it was very much based on the chakras of the physical body, 1 to 7. And then obviously later on, I'm also working with the galactic chakras, 9 to 12, connecting with different realms. So I work with dragons, elementals, the galactics, inner earth. So different, I was lucky enough to have done obviously enough work in my past lives to be able to hop between different dimensions. So I kind of go where I'm guided to it. My work's very intuitive when I'm doing these activations. So since things have been online a little bit more in the last 2 years, I've been doing 1-hour transmissions, and these transmissions are light language and English channeling. And the group comes together etherically, very powerful for everybody and the group field. And on portal days, on new moons, full moons, that kind of thing, working with crystals to support the process. And this energy is to really, I feel like I mentioned before, to really energy to strengthen our chakra pillar. A lot of this whole inner balancing of the masculine and feminine is coming in. It has been for a long time for me personally, but it just continues to come through, and I think it's getting more heightened at the moment. The Kundalini's higher, and I think we're getting we're up for another big shift, I feel, very soon, around the end of the month kind of feel. And so and then I sometimes in these groups also go to different grid locations. We do grid work, whether it be Canberra and the energies that surround Canberra, or whether it's overseas. I feel to work with these like these structures that have held that toxic masculine frequency. Yeah, I mean, the Canberra convoy in itself was a powerful demonstration of energy on that land that has shifted something. Even if there's still mandates for now in certain areas, it has broken up some of the deep satanic underpinnings of under the earth, and the ritual energy that has been placed in the phallicness of that space. If you see that view of the people down towards Parliament House, that was a big shift for Australia, energetically, very powerful. So basically grid work, light activation work, light body work through sound, and
I've joined you for quite a few, and it's my whole body just starts vibrating. You talk about Kundalini and just heat rush. Like I find my whole body just goes hot. But oftentimes, Michael, it sounds really funny, but I'm often laying down, but then my legs go up straight, and they start spinning. So the Kundalini, which we know is in the spine, but literally my legs go and they start spinning. It's the strangest thing that happens when I'm doing your transition. So or heard that one before, but it's and I'm sure many people listening, are having what I'm having, which you would think it was vertigo, but it's kind of not. It's like I get up in the night and I'm just like the Kundalini. I'm like, what is going on? You can feel the spin path happening through. Whether it's the bloodstream or DNA or everything, Kundalini, chakras, meridian, we are really coming online with that spin path. It's getting faster and faster, and we all feel like time's sped up. I've heard people in the light worker community call it the quickening. You can feel that energy. So interesting about Canberra. I did an astral. I was part of an astral group. More demon slayer group that went over Canberra, and we saw the same thing. It was like a satanic grid that was going on, and Oh, we saw we saw before the people got blasted with that sound boom,
Mm.
sound boom, the LRAD technology that they use. So many people were sick after that. We saw it. We tried to warn people, and then we found out the next day that Graham Hood, who was sort of one of the leaders there, had felt the satanic dark energy, and he moved the people from one camp into an Indigenous camp. So they were feeling it themselves. So there's people on the ground, people boots on the real. I mean, we're all boots on the ground. If you compare us Earth side to galactic side.
Of course.
You've got the light workers that'll go and do the protest. You've got the light workers that will work in the astral. It's everyone's on deck at the moment, doing what they can do and doing what they know to be right, whether that's turn up physically, work through meditation, work the energy. I just say thank you to everyone that's plugged in right now and doing what they do. And if that means you sleep 23 hours and you do an hour of work, if that's the best you can do, that's still enough,
But don't negate sleeping, because I mean, there's a lot of work gets done in our dreams, dream state as well. I mean, I think that's why for some light workers it's so exhausting in this realm, because they do so much work in their sleep, and it's. I mean, in regards to Canberra, just before the day before, I was working with a friend, and they'd set stuff up underneath. There was rituals going on, So it was quite dark, but I think a good outcome.
Really good outcome, yeah. There was so much going on underground. We saw reptilians underground. That between the tunnel system from the actual Parliament House out to where that big phallic symbol is. There's and all the way through to Pine Gap, which we know in Australia. Again, for people listening from overseas, Pine Gap is, well, we'd say it's an underground base. We know what goes on. Anyone who's awake and aware knows what goes on there. But in Australia, you can't get to it. They won't let you in. It's a secret area. And there's all sorts of strange creatures down there and all sorts of nefarious things that are going on, which, look, if this is the first time you've heard about reptilians, get on board. You might need to do some research about what we're talking about. It's not just reptilian groups. We know there's mantid groups, chimera groups. There's all sorts of different dark ones around, but they often are part of a hive mind mentality. So once you get into them, you can dismantle the whole program, because that's really all that it is. It's just a program. You can dismantle it quite quickly. So anyone that's starting to, even if it's spontaneously happening for you, and this is how it started happening for me, spontaneously, I started doing astral work. And I thought, I'm going really crazy here. Like, I remember saying to people around me, just check on me. I've always done meditation and yoga and talk to the angels and all that love stuff. And then all this other stuff started happening. It's like, well, the third eye I knew was open, but I didn't know we were going to go into these areas and have to really address some of these hive mind dark entities that get around. So if anyone finds that it is happening spontaneously, Michael and I are here to normalize it for you. You're needed. You're very powerful. If you're always cloaked in light, if you're working for the light, no harm can come to you. In fact, it's important, because as soon as you stand up to darkness and expose it, it runs away. It's very weak. It's very weak energy. It appears very strong at the moment. This is where we've been hoodwinked, because in 3D it feels like they're in control, but they are not. They are not in control. The light workers are in command here. So, Michael, anything else that we can maybe bring it back to the theme of this chat about Atlantis Rising, because we're back, right? We're back at that same point in consciousness. Even the censorship that's going on at the moment. I've got a beautiful psychic friend from the UK. We did a show a while back, and she saw that we'd all had metal collars put around our throats back in Atlantis to shut our voice down. So we're seeing that again, right, with the censorship. So what's coming through when you talk about that?
It's funny, like, as you said, coming back to Atlantis, I felt the sacral. And this feels related to the children stuff, really. And whether it's in underground in Australia or Ukraine or somewhere else. You know, I feel that there needs to be a deep, I think at the moment also in this Kundalini shifting, you know, and the bringing of the fire, like you said, the passion, the wrathful compassion for change, you know, which is, I think, needed at times, you know. Yeah. So, but this is also, I feel like I've had like little moments of Egypt flashing, as we've talked today as well, you know, because when Thoth took some of the stragglers from the fall of Atlantis, they came into Egypt and then started again at the mystery schools of Egypt. Both time, especially Egypt, was where there was a splitting of masculine and feminine, and a distortion, and also a lot of the use of children for ritual. Yeah. So I think that's where a lot of that got seeded. And so the combination of Atlantis and there, I feel there's a deep, and it's actually coming back to the purity of the womb, like you were saying before. Yeah. The purity of the womb of the feminine. Again, whether you're in a female or a male vessel. Yeah. So, and I think there's been so much shame, blame, abuse, distortion around the collective sacral of the divine feminine, especially, but, you know, also the masculine. But I feel that that's what's really hot for me right now, is to, and working with people as well, is really do that, like doing that sacred clearing of the sacral, so that we, because I feel as we clear our own trauma and our own, I guess, hidden aspects around the sacral, then collectively I'm talking about, then it can't help but be exposed and disclosed. There's the stuff that it does not feel like it can break through right now. There has to, it's like what I hear, whether it's the reset, where it's the global reset, whether it's more stuff coming out about the children, or there's dismantling of a lot of structures. I feel like it's only going to happen when the collective's ready to receive it. And so we just have to keep doing the clearing work and expanding work, so that more and more people come online. And then I think the energies of our higher selves will come in, and it will whoosh. It'll just be really big shifts really quickly. And we're nearly there, you know.
Powerful. And of course, this sexuality has been so distorted. Pornography is on tap if you want to get it. People have been told that it's okay. You know, it's kind of cool to be overtly. I don't want to say it's okay to be overtly sexual, as long as it comes from purity. But it's kind of made cool to just take from people, from others, in order to get a notch on your belt. Women do it as well. I mean, we tend to think that that's men. No, women do it as well, because that's been instilled in the culture. You know, the putting out of flesh everywhere, where we're being seductive, because we know that quickly gives us a feed of energy, but it's not sustainable energy. So we're constantly then caught in that cycle. So all of the ways that our sexuality has been distorted. And so for many people, they enter into the spiritual path and almost want to shut their sexuality down, but that won't help either. We have to heal our sexuality. We have to rise through our sexuality, because ultimately God at source code is orgasmic bliss. It is perpetual creative energy. It's in a constant explosion of that orgasmic cycle, because we come to the point through the field and we explode out again. So that impulse, and it's why we receive impulse from the higher dimensional beings. It's always coming through pulsation, through that thrumming, throbbing type energy. That's what the blood is. It's encoded into it, so we can never shut it down. And of course, we talk about what happens to the children. This is the pure inversion, you know, the adrenochrome and these sorts of things. Instead of these disgusting beings doing their own inner work and moving through the ascension timeline. They've decided they're not going to do any work. They're just going to take, and they take in the most horrific and ultimate grotesque fashion instead of moving into self and doing what we know works, which is, as you're saying, Michael, clear it within self, you know? Yeah, sometimes you're laying on your bed crying your eyes out for months on end, but do what it takes, people, you know, do what it takes to heal yourself, to revisit the darkness, the wound, the trauma, the PTSD. If you don't, then we keep creating the egregore out there, and it's at, as I say, I don't know how we could go any lower in the dissension timeline. We can't go any lower than when you hear about adrenochrome, children being hunted, these sorts of things. I mean, for Christ on earth, please come and assist us now through our own conduits to do this most holy work, to clear our own pathways and clear our own channels. Yeah.
And I was just going to say, and I think that's where I tie back to, especially Egypt, but also Atlantis, where there was, many of us have had many lifetimes of living through distorted sexual practice, you know, and so to be a little bit, it's really dark night of the soul stuff, you know, to go in to do that sacred work, you know, and, you know, addiction patterns can come up, all sorts of energies, or a lot of, you know, it's a very deeply feeling center of the sacral as well, so a lot of self-worth stuff can come up. It's really where we hold a lot of trauma, and not just this lifetime trauma. So like the forced breeding programs from different galactic times, from the abductions of and experimentation of galactic races on galactic races. So the cellular memory of all of that kind of been done to energy that sits in the sacral, and, you know, potentially can be acted out on in various different ways, obviously porn, whatever. But it's very, this is the journey. This is the self-mastery we're in, you know, to be able to sort of try and be kind to us if we slip up, but to be sort of to keep gently working on this deep collective pain we have around our life force, because really they don't want us to be powerful. So if they can shame us in our sacral and cut us off from our solar plexus, then we're not a danger to them. So it's about really, and this is something that came through for me a few weeks ago in a short transmission I did on just Facebook Live, was the lower three chakras. It's like, it's really time, because, you know, a lot of starseeds, light workers, galactic types have come in with very expanded upper chakras. And it's really, I know you must know as a yogi, yogini, you know, then that these energy centers of the lower chakra are the 3D chakras, but also what we're needing to clear that hold a lot of density and pain, and what we are needing to clear and expand into so that we can hold even more galactic light from the heart up. So I think at the moment it's like this dissension, I feel, is actually a dissension into the lower chakras as well, to be able to really kind of dig deep into those pockets of hidden stuff of our own. And then as we do that, hopefully we're providing a bit of relief to the collective field. And then over time, you know, these shifts are happening as these cosmic influxes are coming in to support that clearing as well.
Oh, it's just beautiful, Michael. And yeah, what I felt when you said that, the lower three chakras is the 3D, the heart chakra is the 5D. So anyone operating from heart resonance really is already in 5D. So when people say, when will we get there? When do we get to the, you know, fifth dimensional new earth, golden age, all of these terms speak to the same thing. Well, we're here now. We're here now because you've just got to remember that once you're operating from heart resonance, no harm will come to you. It can't, because you are pure love. You are operating only out of pure love. So you're already in the 5D, and the 5D is overlaying the 3D. So we're here to support whether it's the lower nature of self to rise up, or whether we see that in the external of other people who are operating still in their amnesic cycles and forgetting, complying to tyranny and all of those things that are going on, for them to rise up again, because we are just one stream of consciousness. It's all us. We're doing it. We're creating it all. But absolutely so beautiful. So, Michael, somehow we've raved on for nearly an hour. Go us. So it's just so beautiful. Thank you for being willing to jump on with me with no notice. And if you would like to give us some light language, just to clear some of the things that are going on right now. So if everyone wants to close their eyes and breathe and just take this powerful energy.
Yeah, so I feel like, just on the note of the sacral, really, I feel this is just to really support that collective pain of the sacral, linked especially, I feel, to Atlantis and Egypt, those timelines. So anything in your energetic makeup that may be just ready to sort of be released, and if people feel emotion, that sometimes comes up, or you might feel a bit of energy movement, or you might feel nothing at all. So whatever you feel is perfect for you. Yeah. So I'm just going to channel light language. You can place your awareness into your sacral center. Ashkatudo de bargi and darka de barco de barganda bargiando to the key. Oshanda de barca de barganda bargandaki. Oshkanda Oshkata Shanta Shomba Shalaranda Shibaraganda Randa Shibarigabata Ele kishile barkara iala arre ele ki etekiki eteteki ki ishki anargi ananakar
Wow, that was potent. I'll have to put my legs up, start spinning again. The highest compliment I can pay you. Holy moly, that was good. So thank you.
So I'll just say, so that was dragon frequency. That was the powerful dragons, a multidimensional, different realms, and it was. They also have a message in English for people, for your listeners, for anyone that tunes into this podcast after the event, is that it's really important for the collective right now to work on forgiveness around the sacral wounding. So in a multidimensional way. So this is like a womb practice, it's sort of like it just feels like to sort of put your hands on your sacral and just forgiveness of all timelines. It feels because it's time for us to move on. Yeah,
exquisite. Thank you so much. So beautiful. No and these kind of chats obviously help to awaken the key codes within the DNA. Also with Michael's exquisite light language, it's going to blast through any darkness that you're holding on to in a very efficient way. And you don't, as you said before, Michael, you don't need to logically understand that. You just need to stay open, be willing to allow it to soak into your cells, into your codons, and just up level, really, guys.
And sometimes with the light language transmissions, some people see a lot visually. Some people see the different dimensional time spaces I'm working, and some people don't, and that's okay, because you don't always need to know the traumas from in your multidimensional template. You can just clear them. So I feel like that's also something that's useful in light language terms, because some people don't want to know, what they've been through, and that's okay if that's their case, and or it's not available to them yet. And so this brings some availability sometimes, but yeah, so obviously it's a personal process, and for me, light language just really works, and this is what I've been doing, obviously, for many eons.
Yeah, and you are the master at it. I don't know anyone else. I know a lot of people who do light language, but you are the master of it, Michael. Honestly, it's beyond. So grateful, so grateful. I can see the comments coming in. Everyone's so grateful. It's just, I kind of want to cry. It's just absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So there's Michael's information. If you follow that link, you'll find different links for his Facebook, also his website if you want to work with him, the transmissions, everything. Anything else you want to add, Michael, about anything coming up or where to find you?
If people follow me on Facebook, that's the best thing, if they've got Facebook, or my Telegram group, which is also on the link tree below. Those two, I post my events as they come up. I also do some free transmissions from time to time on Facebook Live under my name, Michael Muir, and also sell activated crystals that I activate during the transmission in my healing space here at Perigium Beach, Sunny Coast. And just in regards the next group, I will be doing a group for the equinox. I think it's the 21st of March, Monday evening. I do them 6 p.m. Queensland time. So that's about, I think that's 7 for Victoria and Sydney. So if people want to tune into one of those, and also if you want to tune into a transmission of mine and you miss the live, you can get just as much out of a replay. So if people do want to come into one of my groups and they can't make it because of a time zone issue, you can always watch the hour replay. And I know from the people that do that, they still get a lot out of it. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you again, and thanks for everyone for tuning in. Love these live chats and feeling the energy from the people that are sort of listening in with us, because I know they're high-level light workers as well. So whoosh, as you say, the light goes up. Let's keep doing this. So I'm sure we'll do this again, Michael. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much, darling. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.